Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be going over how to use the part location on contours tool within the Verisens software. Um, so before you do that, you're going to have to adjust the image, and you can check out my other video on how to do that. But once you've done that, you can go here to this Add button under the Check Features tab. You go to Add, you double click on the part location on contours, and you're going to then drag a rectangular box over the part of the image that you want to locate. So in this case, we're looking for this wrench. So I'm going to drag this rectangular box over the wrench, and it's looking for the edges between contrast, so light and dark areas, the edges between light and dark areas. And to see what the tool is looking at, you go to this model editor, and you can see that this is a shape it's looking for within the image. Like I said, it's looking for the edges. If this image is pretty much perfect because it's a silhouette, but if there were noise within the image, you can go here to this eraser button, and you can erase any edges that aren't part of the pattern or you don't want in there. And then it's only going to look for the remaining edges, which is a really nice feature. So I'm going to undo that because this is actually the shape I'm looking for. Couple other things. So right now the correlation, of course, is 100% because this is the trained image I'm looking at. This red bar here, this is a threshold, so anything below that is going to pass, and anything above anything below is going to fail, and everything above is going to pass. So it was set at 50, which is pretty low. I typically leave it a little bit higher, 75 or 80. But you're going to have to play around with that. Every application is different, and you're going to just have to figure out what the threshold should be so that your bad parts are failing and your good parts are passing. A couple other things. So contrast. This is the minimum contrast between light and dark areas for it to pick up. I typically leave this at low. In this case, you could probably get away with high or very high because the contrast is very high between this being completely dark and this being completely light. But most applications aren't going to be like that. You're going to have, gray and maybe a little darker, and you can just play around with that. I like to leave it at low unless the contrast is very low, and then I'll drop it to very low. Slightly curved. This is the form. I typically go with arbitrary, just so it can pick up all the complex little edges. Mode, I like to leave it fast. And this is just going to affect your processing time. Exact is going to do a more detailed search within your image to look for the part, but fast typically works for me. On your rotation max, this is the angle in degrees that it's looking for the image for your part. So right now it's plus or minus 180 degrees, which is a full 360 degree circle. So you can see as I rotate through the image, it's locating that. It's locating that, which is maybe at 90 degrees, and it's locating this, even though it's almost upside down. And each one of these is giving you a correlation of 100%. So yeah, you can just scroll through the images, and you can see even the upside down image, it's going to pick up because this rotation max is at 180 degrees, plus or minus. And if I change that to, let's say, plus or minus 20 degrees, now all of a sudden, you're going to fail because it's only looking for it within this tight range where this is maybe plus like 170 degrees or something. So now you're only having a correlation of 52%. If you drop this bar down, you can see what it's looking at. So it's correlating this as part of that's what it's looking for. But as you can see, it's no longer a 100% match. It's only a 52% match. That's why this threshold is very important. So you set that so that like your bad images like this will fail. So again, leaving this at plus or minus 20 degrees. This is within that 20 degrees, of course, because that was the original image. This is within that 20 degrees. This is outside that 20 degrees because it's almost perpendicular. And this is, of course, almost upside down, which is also outside that 20 degrees. All right, one more thing here. So the default is to look for, your teach area within the entire image, but let's say you know that this part is always going to be within a certain area within your image. You can limit your search area so it doesn't look for the entire for the part within your entire image, but just within the search area. And that's going to speed up your processing time. But if that part falls outside your search area, then it's going to fail. So we're going to not do that, and you can just see, let's change this back to 180 degrees. And now each part should, let's click OK. Now each part should pass. Yep. So we're passing everything. Awesome. I think that's all I wanted to show you guys. Okay, well, there's one more thing. So in this form section, you can see I originally drew a rectangular box. You can make that a circle. You can make that a polygon or any different types of shape. I usually leave it at rectangle just because it's easier, but you can play around with that and change it to whatever you want. So yeah, that's the part location on contour tool.